Welcome to Amplifyre's interview series. My name is Kristian, and joining me today is the CEO at Codexio, Ivan Yonkov. Ivan, welcome to the series. How are you today?
Hey, hi everyone. I'm great to be here.
And it's good to have you on today because we are talking about the journey into software development. You know, as the tech industry is booming, there's a massive demand for new developers. To start, Ivan, perhaps you can start with what it is like starting a career in software development.
Tough question. When I started my career, it was hard, I guess, but I was lucky enough to start without much searching. But what I have experienced in the past more than a decade in that industry, I can say it's simultaneously easy and hard to find your first job. There are a couple of reasons that make it both easy and hard. I can compare your bootstrap in the career has this set of skills that you need to have, and they are both hard skills and soft skills. And the hard skills are composed of your tools that you can use, like language or framework and algorithms, and maybe interview questions that you have already go from somewhere from the internet, get them and try to learn them. But the soft skills, some people may say soft skills are like how is your everyday in your life going, but that's not what I mean. By soft skills I mean your attitude on how do you learn. Maybe decades before, the challenges, the applications that you need to do seems basic right now, but were pretty hard for the back then developers because they never saw them. Maybe imagine that there are no websites in the internet and you need to create the first one. It will be very basic, but it's the first one, and you need to find your way out there. It's forest, rainforest maybe, of things that you need to fight. And now, in 2023, most of these problems are already solved, and you just go to a path that is already worked on. So you already solved the problems. You have information for each and everything you need to know, or most of them, and this makes it easy, and this makes it hard as well. And why does it make it hard? Because this is a ocean of information that you need to digest, and your attitude is the one that will help you here, because the attitude let's say people can get that wrong. They see it's easy right now because there is a lot of companies that are seeking developers. There are a lot of advertisements in the internet that people say, I've been in a 1-year course in an academy and now I started my job. And people see it like an easy thing, like I can change my job from something else. I can learn for 3 or 4 1 year, 3 or 4 months or 1 year, 6 months, 9 months, I don't know. They see it as a short time thing, and they see it like, I've already learned some things in my life, like I can remember finite set of operations. People often compare programming with learning a spoken language, and in a spoken language you have a grammar, vocabulary, some words and a finite set of things that you need to learn, and you then go and build sentences. And this might be partially right in software development, because you also learn some language and build some sentences like control flow structures. But how do you build them? You don't just go there and build sentences. You need to have something you need to do, like write me a book. And people are notoriously bad in writing books if they haven't written any before. Yeah. You know, and this is the same in doing software. If people may think that you can just build arbitrary sentences, but arbitrary sentences are useless. And if you can write a novel, that's a completely new thing. So if you can build a highly scalable software, for instance, this is a completely new thing, but it's hard, and you should have the right attitude about that.
Yeah, no, and it's super interesting. I like the example of a language versus a language, learning that, and it's a finite thing, and it's got its structure. But then taking that language and putting into a book. If we could all write books on the top 10 bestseller list, I think we would, but obviously we can't because we're doing other things. But that's what I'm saying is that example, sure, you can learn the language, but can you write the book? I think is a perfect analogy for that. As we know, times have been changing, especially over the last couple of years. How have you seen this change, and what challenges do up-and-coming developers face in the industry?
Many challenges, but I can start this way. We already said that it's challenging to start, but you know what is more challenging? Stay there, because we, the developers, should get used to the fact that the skills we acquire throughout the time might become obsolete. Not might, they will. They will certainly become obsolete. Frameworks, technologies, they may earn you today's dinner, but it may change. So we have to adapt. And for instance, this OpenAI chatbot, which popularity emerged in the last couple of months, may also lead to certain sub-industries and jobs to be obsolete. Maybe not too soon, maybe 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, let's not speak in years, but yet in the future. And if nowadays it's popular to be specialized in a mainstream language like Java and a application framework like Spring, years later it might be needed something completely different. For instance, to train these artificial intelligence like the OpenAI chatbot to do the job, and then you should be specialized in that. Maybe how to train AI, how to digest this data, how to change their algorithms. Nobody knows. Today is one thing, 10 years ago it was another thing. And so the greatest challenge and simultaneously the greatest skill that a software developer can have in his disposal is adaptiveness.
No, and I actually looked at this OpenAI chatbot, and you're right. It's a pretty amazing thing, and you can imagine where that would go in 5 to 10 years. And what it could do is making certain people's jobs obsolete. But however, that opens the door for other opportunities, like you said. So being able to adapt and to grow in whatever position you have, which brings me to my next question, because at Codexio, from what I see, you guys have an amazing in-depth program for new developers. Can you tell us a bit about this training program?
Yeah, sure. There is then one thing I should start here as well. That's the intro of all of that, to make everyone know why do we do that, and why is the most important question. And because in Codexio we believe that if you want to work with great professionals, you need to create them, or at least help them to create themselves. And this is in our company's internal policy. We are primarily focused on skilling and upskilling. And for the newcomers, for the new developers, we have created this traineeship program that we get some developers with basic skills. Basic skills, I mean that they understand the vocabulary of a programming language and some patterns like object-oriented programming, some paradigms, but they don't have any practical experience. And we put them in practice, but we try to fast forward it. What do I mean by that? People say you learn the best when you're working, and this is half true. Because when you go to work, maybe you don't face challenges every day. At some point, you go to your comfort zone, and you're there for way too long. And what do we want from these new people? We want from them to face challenges each and every day, each and every hour. And how do we do that? Well, they're just not doing any trivial applications. I suppose they're doing trivial applications, but on the top of that, they're having complex algorithms and some of today's challenges. And what are the today's challenges? Let's see. Well, building a web application may be hard, maybe easy, but let's say it's trivial. But what do we have nowadays? We have millions, billions of users that are exploring, surfing through the internet. And in the past 30 years, these very users, have created tons of data. So what are the challenges for us? We need to make our applications to scale as much as possible to handle these users and also to handle this data, to process it, to make some decisions about it. And that's what we're trying to simulate in our traineeship programs. The new developers need to find a way to make this application scale. When it hit the physical boundaries, it needs to scale somehow, and it needs to find a way to process more data, more users. And I know this is not something that is not there. There are a lot of books that say you need to make your application scale to 100,000 or millions of users. But what does this sentence mean for the new developers? Nothing. It's just there. How I'm sure that my program is not processing more data? How I'm sure it will scale or not scale? You need a field to do that, and that's what we are doing. We have already created these simulated environments where when they produce their software, it's replicated in a different physical places, and some automations are trying to simulate millions of users. And our new developers can see if their software is capable of doing it or not capable of doing it. And then we're trying to find a way with them, getting the newcomers and saying, okay, you tried, maybe you failed, but now we need to find a way to go from the bottom up and find these solutions of today's challenges. That's it.
And that's fantastic. What you guys are doing. You know, I've seen a lot when it comes to jobs. If there's no professional development from an employer, a lot of times employers will go find someplace else so they can grow. So it's really cool to see what you guys are doing there at Codexio. Lastly, Ivan, I got one more question for you because I know you're a busy guy. If people want to learn more about Codexio, where should they go?
Well, if people want to learn more about us, they can go to our official website, codexio.bg. And if they're brave enough, there is a phone number. They can ring us and ask us questions. That's it.
Perfect. So go head over to Codexio. The link will be in the description. Go check them out. Ivan, I want to say thanks again so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure.
Hey, thank you too. The pleasure was mine.